What's up, guys? Yusuf here, and finally, I get to bring you my review of my most anticipated comic book film of the year, Justice League. I won't waste your time, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Being the fifth installment into the DCEU and only the second team-up film, Justice League tries to bring together a group of diverse and very different individuals, and goddammit do they do a great job in doing so. The team has tremendous chemistry, which doesn't surprise me seeing as how that's the vibe I've gotten from interviews and some behind the scene things we have seen. What's important with films like this is for it to feel natural when they finally join forces, and Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio deliver on that aspect as well. Speaking of the team, Cyborg, played by Ray Fisher, is a star in this film. A true breath of fresh air, not just to the DCEU, but to most movies I've seen this year in general. I always knew going in that I would like Cyborg, or at least think he was cool, but when you put this young man next to and across from world-class actors such as Joe Morton, Ben Affleck, Jeremy Irons, and J.K. Simmons, this kid shines. I cannot wait to see more from Fisher, and I need more Cyborg. Seeing this movie made me actually believe that a Cyborg solo film could work, and hell, we may actually even need it. Also, it is important to note that his mechanical parts look great throughout the entire film, which was a worry that I had going into it. Ezra Miller's Flash is another newcomer to the crime-fighting biz. He definitely brings a sweet nature and energy to the screen. I know that everyone came out thinking Flash was the star of the film, but really, he's the character I feel needs the most development and work. I'll talk more about this in a bit, but I do think that they made his character too jokey. Some of the jokes and unintentional jokes that he does have, though, do land and they do provide good humor to the film. Jason Momoa rounds off the three newbies, and boy does this dude kick ass. There is a humane and genuine quality that he brings to Arthur Curry. There's one scene where the team is all gathered around and Momoa has a solid minute just to show how truly talented of an actor he is. This man has gotten me really pumped to see more of his film next year. Not to say that I wasn't already excited. Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot. Ben continues to be a great Batman, and we get another Batman moment in this film that has only been seen in comics and video games. And man, it's awesome, trust me. Gal is still charming, and she even shows some growth in this film from her work on the previous one, Wonder Woman. And of course, she also kicks ass. As far as the question that's on everyone's mind, Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, I personally feel it is still Snyder's film. It is pretty evident when you watch the entire film, it's really Snyder's film. But the two styles do mold together perfectly. It's not easy to just point out one scene and say, oh, that's a Snyder scene, oh, that's a Whedon scene. There are a couple scenes that you can tell were done by Whedon, but I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's good that we have these two styles melding together. Two of the greatest comic book directors in the business and maybe of all time, in my opinion. Now for my negatives. The story does feel thin and it feels stagnant during a period of the film. I know by watching the film that the story is advancing, but it doesn't feel like it, honestly, if that makes sense to you guys. It definitely isn't as layered as Batman vs. Superman or Man of Steel, but it is just as consumable and manageable of a story as the one in Wonder Woman. And just like Wonder Woman, the third act, honestly, is the weakest. Not to say that that's such a huge negative, but it's just something to point out. The pacing, though, is my biggest issue. While Snyder and co do break away from their previous tropes of having a huge, basically 90% of the action take place in the last hour of the film, really, this movie needed a whole bunch of room to breathe. This does go back to what I was saying about Barry's character. His story, or lack thereof, is absent. To me, it seems like a lot of the stuff that was cut was mostly character moments. I do believe the reports that claim Snyder wanted to make the movie shorter than BVS, but I, for one, do not at all believe that he intended for it to be this much shorter. The movie could have easily benefited from another 10 minutes. That's all it really needed, because we saw with BVS how important the little 30-second to a minute scenes were to the narrative and to the flow of the story. So yes, I do believe we will see another ultimate cut because, man, it needs it. There's a lot of stuff we saw in trailers and behind the scenes that didn't make it into the film. Last couple negatives. Steppenwolf. Sorry, man, I gotta call it like it is. He isn't menacing at all. I had high hopes, but he is pretty much all bark with very little bite. His scene where he invades Themyscira is so awesome, but that really is all they have to offer for him. Another generic villain in the comic book genre. Also, his CG was fine. okay, I guess. Speaking of CG, my final negative. Those of you that have followed the Henry Cavill mustache gate will without a doubt notice the CG. Goodness, oh my God, man, it's not good. It really isn't. It's very noticeable. But to be fair, my girlfriend came with me and she had no idea about the mustache fiasco that was going on behind the scenes. So in the end, she didn't notice the CG at all until I told her about it. And even when I was telling her about it, she couldn't think of what scenes. But I do feel as though 60% of the VFX in this film could have used a lot more time to be polished, if I'm being completely honest. I'll go more in depth on what I thought of the action set pieces once I do a spoiler review, because while I could easily talk about them without spoiling them, I'll save that for that so I have a lot more to talk about and not rehashing the same topics. All in all, guys, this is a huge win for the DCEU, the fans, and for Zack Snyder. I had a blast in the theater, and there's many scenes that I sat there with the biggest grin on my face. There's genuinely good humor, so this is definitely a crowd pleaser, and I feel it would be a good palate cleanser for some of those who were soured by BVS and Suicide Squad. Also, since Rotten Tomatoes are being dicks with their score reveal show bullshit, I'll let you guys in on a little secret if you couldn't tell. My review is fresh. So guys, go ahead and hop in the comments and leave any questions that you may have. I won't answer them on this video. I may take a few of you guys' questions and answer them during the spoiler review video at the end. Maybe, maybe not. But go ahead and feel free to leave questions. And if I don't answer them in that video, I'll make sure to come back and reply to your comments. Also, guys, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button along with the bell so you guys can get notified when Hybrid Network posts new daily content. Check out our Facebook and Twitter. Also, check out our website for the latest news articles and editorials. Also, please donate to our Patreon if you'd like to see us get better with our content. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate it all.